Okay. Lisa sent me an email asking me to share why I volunteer, particularly with Working Wardrobes and with Mercy House, two of the outreach programs of our church. To answer the first part of the question, I've always been a volunteer. My parents were lifelong volunteers with the church, Scouts, Meals on Wheels, etc., and they modeled that for us growing up. So it was natural that I found myself volunteering through church as a camp counselor, VBS, Sunday school, mission trips, including one Mexico trip, through Scouts as a leader for both of my daughter's troops, and a band mom, and more. As an educator, I was drawn to volunteer opportunities that involved children and young people, which I loved. But now as I'm older, I find myself led to a different kind of service. I've been a deacon for 3 years, and I quickly volunteered to deliver clothing to Working Wardrobes. The Working Wardrobes headquarters is on the way to my mom's house, or my mom's place in Irvine. Since I go every week or so to visit her, I would gather the donations from the garment bag in room 6, lay them in the back of the car, drop them off, and head out. That was easy and somewhat impersonal. But one day I attended an information session and learned more about their programs. They help men, women, vets, and young adults overcoming difficult challenges: substance abuse, domestic violence, incarceration, homelessness, catastrophic illness, and traumatic financial loss. Working Wardrobes provides job skills and training and financial counseling. They help their clients create a resume and prepare for job interviews. Then the client is helped to select business attire appropriate for interviews and entering the workforce. The beautiful donations that you, as a congregation, make of clothing, shoes, belts, and jewelry and accessories are displayed as if in a fine department store. The people are treated with such dignity and respect. They're given positive encouragement that they are trained and dressed for success, and they go out empowered with self-esteem and confidence. I met some of the men and women who shared their success stories and was so inspired. For 4 years, or has it been 4 or 5 with Mercy House? We've been doing that 4 or 5, whenever it started. I thought 4, maybe 5. I have volunteered at the Mercy House cold weather shelter at the National Armory in Santa Ana. As I mentioned before, most of my volunteer work was with children. The first time I went to the shelter, I felt a little nervous. This was a population that I had little experience with. Yes, I've driven past the person on the corner with the Help Me sign, and I've seen videos of Skid Row, and I witnessed homeless people around the Santa Ana Civic Center when I had jury duty. I'm pretty sheltered, as many of you are. I don't encounter many homeless people in my middle-class Yorba Linda neighborhood on a daily basis. Arriving at the shelter, we signed in and got name tags. We all became very busy, laying out 1-inch foam mats and washing them down, setting up snacks and drinks, rolling plastic forks and spoons and napkins, setting up a clothing distribution table, and setting out trash cans and barrels for used towels. When the people were let into the armory, we signed them in, issued towels and toiletries so they could shower, served drinks and meals, and helped with cleanup. I learned 2 important things by working at the shelter. Number 1, the face of the homeless has changed over the years. Yes, there are those struggling with addiction, alcohol, drugs, gambling, and there are those who are mentally ill. But there are many victims of circumstance, a home foreclosure, or a loss of job due to downsizing, layoffs, and even a surgery, injury, or long-term illness. I met a young college student her first night at the shelter. She was nervous, frightened, and embarrassed. She had lost her roommate at the end of the term and her paid internship, and she couldn't afford her apartment alone, even though she had a scholarship to the nursing program at Cal State Fullerton. She did have her car and a laptop computer. After a few weeks, I no longer saw her, so I hope she found a job and got settled. Number 2, they don't want to be judged or pitied. They just want to be treated with dignity, respect, and kindness. That was the atmosphere at the shelter. The staff knew them by name. They treated them with courtesy, and in return, the guests were orderly and always said, treated with courtesy. In return, the guests were orderly and always said thank you when served a meal. Small arguments and skirmishes were resolved, but if someone was aggressive or threatening, they were sent away by security. The clients and volunteers felt safe through the night. I like doing sign-in. There was one gentleman who every week told me he liked my smile. For one who was probably ignored, or worse yet, rejected with derogatory or disparaging remarks, that smile in his day meant everything. When I went to an information day at a Mercy House residence, I learned more about their ministry. Their short mission statement simply says, quote, "To be a leader in ending homelessness by providing a unique system of dignified housing alternatives, programs, and supportive services." But when Larry, the man who was doing the presentation, said, "We expect to end homelessness in 10 years," I was stunned. I came to realize that there are leaders and volunteers at both Mercy House and Working Wardrobes who are committed and convicted every day to make changes for the homeless and the disenfranchised. As a deacon, I help assemble homeless bags, which we, by the way, will make available on September 14th. When I'm with friends and I start to hand out a bag, and you've heard all the same warnings, I decide that I don't have to judge if they're scamming or suffering. If I sense a need, I can act on it. I feel now that I'm being called to volunteer with programs and organizations that work for social justice, equality that challenge discrimination, and that seek to reduce poverty. My volunteer work with these church outreach programs has helped me redirect my focus, and I'll continue to serve now with a new outlook, energy, and hope.